welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks Data. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who no longer thinks that he could outrun Leatherface in a 40-yard sprint. It's John Levingood.
Well, I saw Any Given Sunday and the program, so I know I can't outrun that dude.
So you're watching this movie. So what we're going to be talking about is the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I remember watching this movie, and I enjoyed it. I kind of fell asleep a little bit, but other than that, I kind of enjoyed it. But there's a scene that happens that only lasts 21 seconds. And it involves Leatherface chasing a college student through a lot of laundry. A lot of laundry.
You're not wrong. And given the number of people that we establish in the movie that are in this family, and not even all living in the same house, that you'd think that they were running a hotel.
They have a bed and breakfast chain somewhere.
Apparently.
Yeah. And so Andy's running. He's going pretty much in a straight line, decent speed. I clocked him as about, a 9-minute mile? Because he was dealing with the sheets. But Leatherface is chasing him immediately behind him. Andy had about a 20-foot head start. Somehow, Leatherface is able to run around the sheets, get in front of Andy, plant his feet, and then saw his leg off with a chainsaw. And when I first saw that scene, I kind of did the eye squint with the head turn. Like, really?
Like he just pulled a Jason Takes Manhattan in the dance club.
Exactly. So, and you know what this dumb data is all about? It happened. This happened. So instead of me going, that would never happen, I said, you know what? Let's do the math. And so when I started breaking down the math, two really funny things came from it, John, and that's the sheets. There are so many sheets that he runs through. I clocked it as what, like 40, 50, there's 20 rows of sheets, right? So if there's 3 sheets, there's at least 60 sheets out there, John.
And that's if there's only 3 on, I guess 3 is a good width, right? But It's like, that's if there's only 3, because they were filling the camera frame, right? I mean, 3 sheets wide is probably like 20 feet, right? So I guess it's not going to be wider than that. But if you have 20-foot wide lines of sheets and you have like 30 rows of them, like imagine what this looks like from an airplane. This has got to look really interesting. Well, now I'm serious. Like it's got to look like a sports grid of some sort, like a sports field from straight above in a plane.
Now they're washing these sheets and hanging them up, but by the time they hang up the last sheets, I figured the other sheets are probably dry. So
a lot of sheets.
There is an industrial washing machine here. I don't think there's electricity in this home. I don't think there's enough to run the voltage required for an industrial washer. So they must hang them out and forget about them or get lazy about it, right?
I mean, so by the way, so these sheets, we're talking about cleaning these sheets. Like most things in this movie, those sheets didn't necessarily look like they used bleach. Like they didn't look the cleanest. It looks like they cleaned them in a muddy river.
Oh, that's brilliant, John. They probably just tossed them all in a river and sloshed them around together and then hung them up.
Right. They might not have ever even wrung them out.
You just blew my mind.
You know how like in the movie they keep running between the Crawford mill where they meet the sheriff and the Hewitt house, which is the Texas Chainsaw house. Yeah. When they run through there, it's heavily wooded. I'm guessing there might be a creek in there.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's where they're washing this. Because, again, those sheets, and I wasn't thinking about while I watched again last night, but those sheets did not look like bright white. And this was a sunny day when they're running, right? This is one of your daytime horrors.
Yeah. So they threw them in a creek, stomped on them a little bit, and then hung them up.
Right.
That's brilliant, John. They must they probably let it go to all the sheets were dirty, and then they just watch. They never do 5 at a time. They always just do when they're down to their last ones. And that's why Sheet City occurred.
They have a lot of sheets.
That's brilliant. And then
I wonder if they accumulate sheets like they accumulate all the other stuff from the dead people, the people they murdered throughout their lifetime.
I mean, they must. It's easy, right? Steal
like
their
if
stuff.
You get people who are camping and like you have like maybe a sleeping bag or maybe you have a inflatable mattress and a sheet.
Yeah. And he gets his skin mask from the people he kills. They recycle, John.
Dude, they keep everything. They keep separate fingers, sheets.
And now another cool thing that came from this is you've been to my house, so I was in my backyard. And I was laying out sticks in my backyard with a tape measure to play. I did a really bad drawing on Movies, Films, and Flicks of Andy being chased by Leatherface. I have Sheet City, Freedom. I actually gridded it out. But I was in the back.
I like that Freedom is like the end zone of this diagram, because I just thought of football when I saw this.
So I was in the back, and I figured out that Andy, so he covered 194 feet in 20 seconds, right? So that's the equivalent of a 9-minute mile. When he is being chased through, when Leatherface pulls away, Leatherface kind of cuts to the side and is able to, so he's 20 feet behind him. And then Leatherface is able to get, 10, 15 feet in front of him. So I did the math, 9-minute mile, 586 feet, 586 divided by 60, 9.7 feet per second, 194 feet covered in 20 seconds. And I kind of talked about being slowed down by the sheets and a lot of a weird math that is in no way correct, but it still makes me very happy. But I was in the backyard laying sticks down with a tape measure, planning the exact angle that Leatherface had to take to get around Andy. And I don't know if you remember, but in that span of 40, I measured out 48.5 feet in my backyard. And then I was talking to, I was interviewed for Wired, and I was talking to Brian Raftery about it. And he just started laughing about the fact that I was in my backyard laying out sticks. And then I never picked up the sticks. So when Megan came home, my wife, she just saw a bunch of sticks in the backyard because I was trying to plan out how far Leatherface ran. I was trying to figure out 72 feet and how that works, contrast to Andy running in a straight line. That got brought up in the article, so I think he really kind of keyed in on that. So it was fun, man. Like, that's why I kind of like this dumb data sometimes, is I get to run around my car to see, like, Michael Myers, how fast that would take. I get to lay sticks in my backyard to plan out Leatherface's sprinting. And I think that's why I have kind of fun with this stuff. But also, we know this, John. We don't know what route he took, yeah? And we don't know how fast they were running.
Right. We don't know how far, like, he might have been just off camera. He might have been double the distance of off camera. Like, I look at the scene in two ways, right? There's what John know about the movie, right? And then there's just trying to immerse yourself in this movie universe. If I immerse myself in this movie universe, yeah, Leatherface is a big, strong guy, but he's not doing squats or sprints for explosive quad movements. He's more like a big, fat, farm, strong guy, right? Yeah. So, like, I wouldn't imagine him being fast even with the craziness. I figure he would have been out of breath by the time they even reached the sheets. But then, in reality, we know that the guy who plays Leatherface, he played Latimer, who is the biggest, scariest dude in the program. He played the biggest, scariest dude in Any Given Sunday. He is huge and he is lean. And even though I don't think that he could run a mile fast, I think that he can sprint extremely fast. So if I'm going on the guy in the suit, I'll bet he could pull off exactly what we saw. Except when I think of what we know about Leatherface, I don't think that Leatherface, the character, could pull this off in any semblance of the Texas Chainsaw universe.
And, when I brought this up, I said he ran a 9-minute mile. That was his burst. And a lot of people were like, oh, well, I go to football combines and people can run this speed. And I kind of thought, well, this guy's probably wearing loafers. He never does 40-yard sprints. He doesn't have those fast twitch fibers maybe built up within him. He's very strong, but he doesn't have those built. And he's carrying a chainsaw running
he's
through
not lunging
sheets.
He's not lunging his shoulders the way you would for a fast sprint, right? Because he's holding that chainsaw. He's lugging forward.
And so 9-minute mile running through sheets and carrying a chainsaw while wearing a cumbersome mask with uncomfortable shoes, that's impressive.
Well, and you know what else? This isn't like they ran a 40, okay? Like, by the time they reached those sheets, they probably ran 100 feet, or at least by the end of that, right? Over 100 feet. Like, and they ran out of the house, they're running through stairs, they're running across grass that's not necessarily perfectly flat, like a football field. And when you think of, like, you ever been on a treadmill and run 9 or 10 miles an hour, like, it's totally doable if you're not out of shape. But that is under perfect circumstances. Imagine running 9 or 10 miles across grass. Now imagine that you're ducking under cords and waving your arms in front of you to knock sheets out of the way, or holding a 30-pound chainsaw, because that was a big chainsaw. Yeah. Or holding a 30-pound chainsaw in front of you while leaning forward. Like, this is really fast under the circumstances. They're lucky they didn't turn an ankle on those grass.
As I call my data dumb, but I think I think my guesses on this, I'm not patting myself on the back, but I call it dumb horrors of self-defense mechanism, but I feel good with this. Like, I feel good that
of all the articles you've written historically, I feel like you've picked for your premiere christening of the data pods. I feel like you picked the more rational post.
Yeah, because
we're easing people into the data.
Yeah, like the water world one, I'm talking about exploding through. I haven't even covered that, but you explode through a fish's thing, and then it sinks, and then the boat goes away. Then he has to take it out. Like, there's a lot of guesswork in here, but this is just a straight line running with a timeline, very specific timeline, and kind of easy to cover math. But
right.
While writing this, though, I wasn't doing this to make fun of it, and I think we came up with a pretty good answer. His leg gets hacked. Poor Andy. Andy, if you're Andy, you're feeling pretty good, right? Are you feeling pretty good
about getting away?
Yeah. Like, how are you feeling? Like, you're horrified, right? But you don't think this guy's going to run around you, do you?
Like, I'm sure that he was terrified, but I'll bet he thought he was going to get away, right?
Yeah. I mean, he seemed to be in good cardio shape. He was running in a straight line. He didn't fall. He didn't do the horror trope of falling. He didn't do the horror trope of running around in circles. He barely stumbled. The same problem he had with the sheets Leatherface had. So that means... That's why I kind of came to the conclusion that Leatherface must have really pushed everything he had. I guess it's fight or flight. If he gets away, who knows what happens?
Well, yeah, for Leatherface, right? Because we got to imagine the psychology, this like child-minded, this man-child, monstrous, mistreated thing that, like not in this movie so much, but in most of the movies gets very scolded, very psychologically abused. I can see him in a horrible panic that this guy is getting away. I can see them both having fight or flight.
Yeah, so they're just running, both scared. And poor Andy just gets his leg, I love his leg cut off. But I know I'm interrupting myself, but I love your sheet theory, dude. That's,
You mean the dirty, muddy creek wash sheets?
Yeah, that makes me so happy, because I tried to break it down, but you have the best explanation for it. We cracked the sheets. On this podcast, talking about the sprint, we figured out how the sheets were cleaned.
I mean, it was either that or the basement water, because for some reason that basement where Leatherface worked, it was always leaking water and the floors were wet, which doesn't make any sense because, okay, so then apparently they have working plumbing. They're never fixing it, so eventually that's going to flood.
They don't do much all day. Why couldn't they? That water's not going anywhere. That's interesting.
Like it was always wet. It was always dripping.
They use the sheets to soak up the water every few days, and as opposed to fixing the plumbing.
They're just airing it out.
They're so lazy that they don't want to fix a pipe that instead they use 60 sheets to clear out water.
Which is a lot of work on its own. I mean, think about it. You like soak a whole bed sheet. You're really holding what, like a human fist volume of water in it? Like it's not a lot.
This is a whole new theory.
So we have two alternative hypotheses other than washing machines run by generators, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm not down with that industrial thing. I love it. That was fun. Well, I mean, thanks for joining me. I know, I guess we didn't really get too much into the math, but if you want to read the article, head over to Movies, Films, and Flicks. Read the article. It's called Analyzing the Foot Chase and Sheet Washing in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Remake. So if you want to read more about it, go there. The video is there, which you can watch, and my timeline, and John, my horrible drawing that still looks very on what's the word? Very dumb data.
Horribly impressive.
Yeah.
Horribly impressive drawing.
Yeah.
I love the illustrations in your data posts.
And I called it Sheet City, by the way. So, but dude, thank you so much for joining me, John. This was a lot of fun.
Cheers.
All right, so for Mark Hoffmeyer and John Levengood, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks Data. We'll see you next week.